got a track guide for the Cadillac GTP, the Cadillac V-Series.R GTP. This is for Road Atlanta. This is preparation for Petit Le Mans that's in a couple weeks. I'm using Apex's Road Atlanta setup for ESS from last season. If you're wondering what setup I am using for this, like I said, I'm not alien speed or anything like that. This is just to kind of get people in the ballpark of some braking markers, gearing, and whatnot to use. I am definitely not one to study if you're looking for alien speed or if you're above probably like a 2000, 2500 iRating, somewhere in there. Just wouldn't see much value in watching me. Anyways, I got 4 laps here in this video. It's starting with this 326 and then 5 after that. Weather settings, I set it to October 14th at 1 p.m. That's going to be the day of Petit Le Mans. I set it at like set weather and set sky so that it doesn't change for this whole thing. You can see the settings that I use here: 73 degrees, winds northwest 9 miles an hour, relative humidity 51. And then track usage, I put max track usage. If you do all that to match me, you should end up with a track temp of 85 degrees Fahrenheit. That being said, I'm going to go ahead and just go through some of these laps. I'll go through the first one a little bit slower, kind of point out what I'm looking at, brake marker and whatnot. And we'll go from there. Head down into turn 1. This is probably one of the sketchiest turns because it is very fast. What I'm looking at here is where this grass ends on the left and it becomes pavement. At that point, I am going to let off, and it's not a ton of braking. I'll go down to 5th gear. Everything on this track happens really quick, so I'm going to try and rewind as little as possible. But I realized that happened really fast. So right here, right here would be where the grass was ending. Is where I'm going to do, I'd say it was kind of medium to low braking, probably 40%, and then trailed it off. I clipped the curb here on the inside. I think ideally you probably just want to get your right sides on the yellow line. But like I said, this turn it happens so quickly that yeah, I don't know what else to say there. It's just a very, very, very fast turn. The good thing is the new dirt and grass physics should cause, if you run wide and you get into the grass, you shouldn't die. That used to be an instant death for the most part. It doesn't seem to be. Keep it in 5th, climbing up the hill. Next thing I'm looking at is the start of this curbing here on the left. Climbing up that hill before, you can get further right to kind of widen up your entry here. But this is a blind crest, and the next turn, which I'm going to call it turn 3, I don't know what they actually call it, is a blind apex. Very, very tricky. But I'm going to start braking here, go down to 3rd gear. Now this curb that's on the inside, here's where you're going over. You can cut this curb pretty aggressively. If you do cut it too much, it is going to be an off track. I can tell you this 302 lap I do here, I cut it too much and ended up being an off track. But this is not. So you can see I don't know what triggers it being an off track. It might be the center point of the car being on the right side of this curbing here. I don't know. It's fairly forgiving, but you can't be too greedy. But 3rd gear for that turn, 5th down to 3rd gear. Flat out through here. want to stay to the left here. When you see this, this is another going down through the S's. This is a blind apex on the inside. So you kind of got to use this yellow and blue curbing to the left. It's just kind of a reference point when to turn in. I try and avoid these curbs as much as possible. It just kind of unsteadies the car. It's best to avoid them if possible. 5th gear here. And then at the start of the yellow and white curbing here on the right is where I'm going to brake. I'm going to go down to 4th gear. I get my right sides onto that curbing a bit. It does kind of unsteady the car a little bit, but it helps widen up the left-hander here at the end. I don't know what you're going to call this left-hander. I think it's like turn 7. It could be turn 6, but that's one of the tricky ones because you need to use a lot of curbing on exit, but the car definitely gets unstable there, so you got to be careful. But down to 4th gear here, try and get your left sides right to the yellow line on the inside without hitting the curb too hard. Exit out nice and wide. .200 signboard here. There's also a white line. You can't see it in these lighting conditions quite as well, but there is a white line going across the track. Some of these laps I'll go up to 6th gear before I get to here. Others I'll be in 5th. But I go to 4th gear for the first right-hander, and then I'm going to drop it down to 2nd gear for the second right-hander before you go on to the straight. And my kind of where I turn in here is here at the end of this curbing here. Maybe a little forward. I'll fast forward the straightaway here because you don't really need that. Get up to 7th gear. 100 signboard. A little bit after that sign is actually the white line. I use the 100 as my brake marker, but I'm actually usually braking a little bit before it. So I'm lifting and braking pretty much right about here. So I don't know, 50 feet before it, however you want to reference that. Go down to 2nd gear, cut across this curb pretty aggressively on the left to widen up the exit of the shading. I think it's ideal right about here to shift up to 3rd. You can see I just went up to 3rd here. It just helps you get the drive off the corner. Make that out nice and wide. We got another blind crest here. This can be tricky. Something that helps to just look at is the yellow, red, and white lights here going up over the crest. If you just kind of align yourself with that and going over the crest, you'll be flat out through here. 6th gear. I'm not going to get the 7th gear, I don't think, but right there, grass ends, 5th gear. Bagging the throttle hard. Curbing here on the left. You know, 3rd gear. Across that curb. Right, braking on the turn-in point, got 100 sign here on the white line across the track. 4th gear, 2nd gear here. Get close to that curb on the inside, but try not to actually hit it. It will unsteady the car. Straightaway. 7th gear here. 2nd. Aggressively across there. Take that out nice and wide. Carry on your speed. 6th gear as we go across get that final kink. Again, 5th gear here. See, I didn't use as much curve there. Actually, I don't have a this is where I think I cut it too aggressively. Yeah, so this is too aggressive. This is the one that ended up just being an off track. Not a huge difference from the other one, but it was just enough that this was an off track. It's not a slowdown, it's an off track. Right. Like I said, try and avoid those curves the best as you can. Because that or there's a couple places, especially on that exit there. It's unsteady. You're liable to end up. Grass, fifth gear, close to the curb, power down, third, back out here, right, it's not possible, really careful on that exit curve, really need to get used to it. Some second gear. Last thing I want to touch on some of the good passing here in this a very stressful race. I must say this is probably the most stressful endurance race I think that there is. Obviously, it ends at night. The last couple of 2-3 hours are at night, but you're just constantly in traffic. There's not a lot of great passing opportunities. Um, but ideally, you can get a run on your slower class cars going through that final turn, and you can get to their inside before you make it to turn one. If you can't, I would not recommend shooting it up their inside last second. That is a bad move. You can, if you get right to them here, you can get to their outside and go around their outside. It can be a bit treacherous. Pit exit here. So here's your pit exit. You got to be really in the know on cars exiting pit road. I've seen plenty of times where people sideswipe going to the right here, going up over the hill and wrecking themselves and wrecking somebody coming out of the pits. But you can get to their outside here. If you get right to their bumper, climbing up the hill here, you can go inside or outside of a slower class. You just got to make sure you have plenty of gap to be able to do something. I do not recommend going into this, either of these two corners here. Any type of pass, you need to wait until you're on the exit. Going around here, one of the good opportunities would be getting to the right side here. But again, you need to make sure you're close enough that you are inside of them well before the turn-in point of the next right-hander in the S's. If you aren't and you send it in there last second, you cannot expect them to back out or give you the line. Going offline through the S's is treacherous. So you need to be, I'd say you need to be inside them by here. If you're not inside them, then you need to just be patient. You're going to lose a couple seconds going through here, but it's better than both of you dying. Don't pass anybody here. Just telling you now. Just don't do it. Don't be that person. You're going to end up on a wrecker. Next opportunity would be after this turn. Obviously, the straight leading in here. Probably here, you need to be inside somebody here to rightfully go for a pass. If you are say you're here and they're up here at this second line, you just need to be patient. There's no sense in you getting up to their inside in between the two right-handers, because you're going to just destroy your exit onto the long straight, and you're both going to lose time. So just be patient. It's going to suck, but you got to play it safe. Straightaways, obvious. Into the chicane, you don't want to do anything last second, like the other turns. You want to wait until the exit here. Once you're going over the crest, you do have options. You can get to their inside, you can get to their outside. Pit exit, people are going to be your pit exit. You got to stay to the right going over this crest. So you just got to be weary of that throughout the race. Some people may be going into the pits. There, you can see it off to the right there. Kind of is like a little slalom leading down to the actual pit entry. But you can get up to somebody's inside here or outside. If you aren't inside them by this point, you should just wait until the exit. If you dive it in here late on them, similar to the S's, they are going to be turning in, and you're probably going to wreck. I think that's it. I don't have any other real pointers. I'll post obviously this is the settings I use, but I'll post them in the details for the video itself too, if you're trying to replicate exactly what I have. Otherwise, let me know if you have questions. Thanks.